This is the There Is Another Way podcast from spencerbruce.com. Making life work as a creative. Hi there, boys and girls. Brucey here with this week's and this year's very first There Is Another Way podcast. First of all, apologies. This one is a few days later than we usually have on the schedule. But as you can probably hear, I'm actually completely full of cold. So I don't know how I'm going to make it through this podcast. So it might be a little bit shorter than normal. But unfortunately, I came down with a chest infection over the Christmas break. And it's still lingering and just won't go. And I've entered that kind of really disgusting stage at the moment, so do bear with me, and hopefully there won't be too much grossness as we go through. But that explains why we are a few days late on the podcast, because I wasn't able to basically speak a couple of days ago. Anyway, welcome back. Happy New Year. I hope the year has begun fruitfully for you. I hope that you are doing all the things that you want to be doing already and really thinking about the future, because, you know, this is the time of year that we all do that. As you know, I am doing things a little bit differently there. If you've listened to the previous podcast, I haven't really gone through and set a whole bunch of resolutions. I haven't really gone through and set a whole bunch of goals this year. I'm keeping things fluid. I'm going for a no-goal situation. Instead, I have a couple of projects that I really want to complete, and I just have the project names written down on a piece of paper, as I mentioned before, to inspire me to want to get those projects done. And in terms of the usual things like health, I mean, I am on a health kick, but not on a diet. I am just trying to become healthier and change my mindset into a healthier style of living. Not that I was overtly unhealthy before, but one of the downsides I've realized from working from home, because there are some, is that I've put on a little bit of weight because I just don't walk as much as I used to. I used to walk tons and tons and tons and walk everywhere and walk up and down stairs and everything. Now I just tend to be at home a lot more, which is fantastic, but I don't walk as much. And annoyingly, once you get set into things, it is quite hard to break out and get out there and do walks. I know it sounds ridiculous and you think, come on, you can do it. You just set a time at lunchtime to go out for a walk, but it doesn't always work that way. And I'm trying to find ways to counter that. And one of the ways that I'm countering that currently is my partner Liz goes to work very early in the morning. And what I've decided to do, or what I have been doing for the beginning of the year, is I go with her some of the way down the road, a fair way down the road, and then she drops me off and I walk home. And therefore, again, I've done my exercise. I've got that out of the way before the rest of the day starts. I'm up a lot earlier and it's working quite well. Admittedly, it's been a bit of a struggle over the last couple of days because I've just not felt like it because of this stupid, annoying cold. Also, the fact that it is in the UK pretty cold night now and pretty grim and murky. But I'm not sure I'm going to go every single day, but I'm going to go, aiming for 3 or 4 times a week, ideally, to get that out of the way and then do additional things on top. In terms of dieting to help with that, I'm trying. I don't want to diet. That's not because I want to gorge on bad food. I don't anyway. I've just focused in on maybe eating smaller portion sizes. That's a big one. Just eating a little bit less. Even if you're eating tons and tons of healthy stuff, it's still easy to pile on those calories because you're eating large quantities. And just treat myself. I treated myself the other day on a Saturday to a beer, and I was really looking forward to it. I've done this 2 Saturdays. I don't really drink a lot anyway, and if at all, really. But what I the last couple of days, because I were working on a Saturday and I'm kind of working 7 days a week at the moment, I just thought, I kind of would fancy a beer. And I've made it a thing that on a Saturday, perhaps when I get home from work, I'm just going to have 1 beer. I'm really looking forward to the week. So it's just moderating everything. And I'm doing that with food. I've agreed that with myself that one of the things I'm going to do is once a week, just have a treat. It could be chocolate, it could be something, a little bit dirty, but I'm going to do it once a week. And for the rest of the week, I'm just going to remain eating healthy as I kind of always have done. And I'm taking that approach and applying it to everything work-wise as well. As you know, I'm working on a couple of projects right now, big projects which are taking up a lot of my time. So a lot of my other projects are slightly falling by the wayside. But instead of setting goals and worrying about them now, I'm just trying to set a small amount of time every day to just jump in and get a little bit of guitar practice going, because that's my main thing. That's the thing that I really want to work on. It's not a goal. I just want to know more. I just want to discover more. I want to be able to do it. That is why I'm framing it like that in my head, and that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Framing things you want to do, not as goals and not as projects, but as things you want to do, and find time to do those things. And it is really, really hard. One of the other things I wanted to do is read more. It's easy, really. And what I'm doing is just making sure just before I go to bed, I read for a little bit. And I'm getting through books because I am just doing it every day, and it's become habit for me. So that's great, and it's really working. So I've really simplified this year, and it probably goes against some of the advice and things that I've talked about in previous podcasts. And I still fully stand by the things that I said, but as I mentioned in the other podcast, I'm just seeing if there is another way. And once I've explored this for a while, I will be able to feed back and see maybe that things I've said in the past were wrong. Maybe that the thing that I'm doing now isn't going to lead me to the places that I want to do. But I'm really enjoying exploring. There is another way to New Year's resolutions. Let's put it that way. There is another way to New Year's goal setting. And again, I would really love to hear your thoughts and feedback on how you're approaching New Year this year. What resolutions, what goals you are setting yourself, how you are hoping to achieve them, how you are hoping and going about doing them. There are a couple of other announcements that I'm going to make. You will notice that there are going to be quite a few interview podcasts coming up. And what will probably happen is the main podcast, this podcast where I talk to you guys, I may have to in the near future for the next couple of months, kind of rein back on doing this and have the interview podcast as the main podcast. Primarily because I just have so much work on at the moment. It is really hard to dedicate the time to the podcast that I want to dedicate, do all the research and background information that I do when I produce an episode, and also when I edit an episode. So that is going to be a change for 2019, at least the beginning part of 2019. There will be, and I'm really excited about this, a number of interviews coming along to keep you entertained, inspired, hopefully. There are a whole bunch of excellent, amazing people that I've got interviews lined with coming along soon. They will no doubt keep you inspired, enthralled, and entertained. And I'm really, really excited to putting those out. So a lot of the focus for There Is Another Way podcast over the next couple of months is going to be on getting these interviews out there and over to you, because some of the feedback I've had from you guys is that you really, really love the interview podcast that I do. So watch this space. As I said, apologies for a slightly shorter podcast this week. I was hoping to go into talking about one of the things, not necessarily a resolution, but one of the things I've done this year is, which I've alluded to in the past, is cutting back on social media. But that will be the topic for the next podcast. As you can hear, I'm really kind of struggling here, so I'm going to bow out gracefully. I've been Brucey. If you like the podcast, please do subscribe on the Facebook There Is Another Way podcast channel. It means a lot to me. Please do engage in the conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts, love to hear your questions. I've been Brucey, and I will catch you later.